Hey Village! So something that comes up periodically is taking care of the foster room reset in between placements. I take a lot of care when I do this, and I wanted to share with you guys what that looks like. And not only the mechanics of how I'm flipping the room and making sure that it's refreshed for the next child, but also why that actually matters. So I actually had a very small window of time last year between one placement returning and reunifying with their family, and another teen coming in. This came at a time where I was anticipating that there was going to be a little bit of a break. Usually once one placement has moved on, whatever that looks like, reunified, move in with kinship, transitioning out of care, there's a number of things that could happen. A lot of times I'll schedule kind of like a set break and like a reset for the family, especially like our young kids. Darcy and Sawyer, I don't want them to experience too much back and forth and transitioning in and out. But last year I did get a call to accept a placement of a teen who we did have an existing relationship with. And so it was a no-brainer that it was gonna be a yes. So I didn't get that break, but what I did do is I recorded what that foster room reset really looked like. But before I show you that, I wanna talk about a few things on this topic. And I'm gonna start with why this is important. So every child that comes into your home as a foster caregiver deserves the same amount of love, respect, care, consideration as the child before them, as the child after them. There should always be a very balanced way in which you are providing care. And I would challenge that if you're not coming from that place, and the idea of putting this much time and effort and resources into resetting the room for a child, I would maybe pause and check what your intentions are with fostering. And you'll see this in the video clips, but I'll point out kind of those things that I do to make sure that, yes, the children most likely know that there have been others who have stayed in that room who have used some of those things, but you don't want it to be a glaring reminder that, hey, I'm in foster care, this isn't my room, so many kids have been here, this isn't my stuff. You wanna limit as much as you can those stories that could be created. And you can just do that by spending a little bit of extra elbow grease, a little bit of extra time, and yes, a few resources. And when it comes to resources, I'll mention that in the state of Ohio, I get my stipend check 1 month after a child stays. So what that looks like is I'll say yes to a child. They'll get here, let's say January 1st. They stay the entire month of January. I get the stipend for the month of January later in February, usually about 2 to 3 weeks into the month. And the reason for that is because that child may not stay the full month of January. They might only be there for 2 weeks. Maybe they're only there for 4 days. There's no way of knowing that. So in Ohio, and I'm pretty sure this is how it works throughout, you're really getting paid after the fact. So plan appropriately. When you're starting off being a foster caregiver, it is nice to kind of have a little nest egg so that you can have that first month kind of covered for that initial placement. But because of the way that this is set up, it actually helps you when a child moves on, returns home, whatever the case may be, because they'll be leaving, and then you'll get your stipend after the fact. And I'll show you some stuff, like this last placement, I'm definitely gonna have to do some carpet care. There's a lot of stains. I'm hoping that they'll get up. Otherwise, I'm gonna need a bigger rug to cover it because I don't want other children to come in and see that and feel like, oh, I'm getting this dirty carpet and they don't care enough to take care of that. But yeah, your stipend is covering expenses for the child, but also some of that I dedicate, especially in that last month, to any kind of repairs that need to happen or replacing things that may have been heavily used, we'll say that. I'm also gonna mention timing, but I'll do that as you watch and see how I transition a foster room between placements. So let's check this out. So at first glance, this room doesn't look too terrible. Yes, there are some missing snacks, it's a bit dirty. The desk definitely needs some TLC, but when you start to inspect closer, you'll just notice some more scuffs, dirt, and that sort of thing. So when I'm doing a room flip, I'm first going to take inventory of all the different spots that I'm going to need some extra care. Then what I'll do is I'll strip everything from the furniture. I'll clean it out very thoroughly. And then what you'll see me doing here is I take a magic eraser and I make sure that I am cleaning up any scuff marks that are on the walls. And this just happens with regular wear and tear. You'll notice that like different things bumping up against the wall will cause there to be marks, and it only takes a few minutes to have that fresh, clean slate so that the new child coming in is not going to notice those things. I clear out every single drawer, every single surface. If something is not able to be cleaned and look almost like new, like we're not talking brand new, but pretty new, that's my sign to go ahead and replace that item. And when it comes to this desk, the previous child who stayed here, we had put this contact paper over the desk because there were some scuff marks on it, and I thought that the blue would be really cool. It would have, a little bit more durability. But there was a placement who liked to doodle on it, and I just let them. And because I knew that afterwards I could remove it, and that's what we're doing here. So at first I tried to clean the surface, but it's just not a very great quality. I mean, it's not wood, but furniture piece, I guess. So there's definitely a lot of nicks that are on here. So what I decide to do is actually just apply a coat of paint. And it turned out really, really well. It just took a few coats of paint. I feel like one of those landlords who it's like, well, when in doubt, just cover it with paint. But it really did turn out a lot better. You'll see now that I'm just going to move over, make sure I'm dusting every single spot, especially that top shelf, because I can reach it, but most often the kids are not going to be able to reach it, and maintain, the dust up there. And again, with this dresser, it's such good quality, I can use a magic eraser on it to get any kind of marks or scuffs off of it. I'm going in every single nook and cranny. Again, I keep saying that, but it is important to have that dust taken care of. And when it comes to timing of doing a foster room reset, I will be honest, a lot of times when a child leaves the home, I will avoid doing the reset right away. It's just kind of part of my grieving process. Like, I celebrate that they're moving on, I celebrate their family or what they're up to, but I don't like facing the room reset right away. I kind of like to give myself some time, whether that's a couple of weeks or maybe even a couple of months before I go in. And in some cases, if I'm very emotional, I will have my sister come over, and she has helped me in the past. Again, just to help me clear things out. And also when it comes to timing, it will depend on the length of stay of that child, because if you're having shorter term placements, the room reset is going to be easier to do, but you might have to do it more frequently with those shorter placements. If you have children who are staying with you for an extended amount of time, well, that's going to be a tougher clear out because the space is most likely going to be well loved and used, but you're not going to have to do it as often. And I'm a firm believer in letting the child, create their room so that they are, displaying their personality, and it really feels like their room. So I make sure I keep it a pretty clear canvas. So once everything is cleaned up, you'll see that I added the snacks. I have fresh linens and blankets ready to go. And I also have other comforters in case this is not their style. But ultimately, that's what it takes. you all found value in this video. I hope that it inspires you when you're in between placements and you're transitioning your foster room and your home. And I just want to reiterate, the importance of this really comes down to making sure that the child or children who are coming into your home, coming into your family on that temporary basis, they still feel loved and cared for, appreciated, worthy, all of those things that you can do simply by taking a little bit of extra care and attention. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.